me take this opportunity of handing over to Dr. Willie De Beer. I think Dr. Willie De Beer is well known in the energy landscape broadly. He's an ex-ESCOM senior manager, executive management. He played a role as the chief operations officer of the EDI Holdings company, which looked at restructuring of the sector, and is now a consultant in many areas in this landscape. And at his ripe old experienced age, he still continues to play that role. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to hand over the platform to my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Willie De Beer. Over to you, Dr. Willie.
Wally, thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to present this today in this important session. I think we are on the verge of a great journey, and I think it is what we as a collective can do to make a success. I want to build on to where Wally has stopped a couple of seconds ago, and my focus in this presentation, as we've indicated already, is about the future-proofing of the municipal electricity distribution business, and we're taking a 10-year perspective today on it. I think a key point where we need to start is just have a brief look and say, where are we at this point in time? I see we are seeing significant credit rating challenges. And the reason why I raise these type of things, for example, the aggregated municipal consumer debt, which is growing. We also learn about municipalities are not only owing on electricity, but also on other services. The point being that if you are not going to become investor attractive, you are going to run into serious problems in any future business model. I think we are confronted with escalating debt on the broader sense. We all know that challenges around the Eskom debt, which stands at over 400 billion. We know about the municipalities who cannot honor their commitments. And we also do see some good news. For example, the city of Tshwane that was on record recently that paid. However, in the same statement, when they confirmed their payment, they indicated that they should be collecting 3.5 billion rand per month in revenue, and they're only collecting 2.7 billion. Now, what is that telling you? It is just telling you that very soon they're going to be in the same problem. So we have not addressed the problem, but we have paid attention to the symptom that we are seeing. But these things come, in my personal view, and based on my 40 years in this industry, the challenge starts with leadership. We lack strong, decisive leadership. We have not the political will in all the cases to really do the right thing. We battle to deal with corruption and fraud, and it is not helping us, not from a staff confidence or a confidence in respect of the industry out there. And then you've got the Auditor General findings that is a book to read. And if we don't get that right, we are in serious trouble. Service delivery remains a challenge, and from many perspectives. That takes me to the revenue management. Revenue management is central to the ability of this industry to collect and pay for the total value chain. If we cannot collect money and we cannot pay for all the services, we are going to cripple the total value chain, and the ESI will be bankrupt, not only the EDI. And that speaks to the aggregated losses that's on the increase and all of these financial related challenges that we have. If we briefly speak to the infrastructure and the infrastructure challenges, we know that in 2014, the approach to distribution asset management, or ADAM as we commonly refer to it, has been reviewed. At that point in time, the backlog grew from 27 billion in 2008 to 68 billion. And this backlog is basically been split 50-50 between Eskom distribution and municipalities. The result of the backlog is in the increase in power interruptions, frequency as well as duration. The question is, how do you address this and get new entrants to access the network? Because that is where our future revenue stream lies, and we have to get that right. So from a stakeholder and investment management perspective, Question is, how easy is it today to do business with municipalities? You all have the experience, you have the knowledge. We battle to get brand loyalty and customers to support us. The public perception is not great about this industry, and that all bear down ultimately in a lack of investor confidence. Now, this slide just speaks to what I believe a serious challenge that we have to address. If you want to play in a future industry, whichever model we're going to have, you better make sure that you're not dependent on subsidies from external to make you whole. In this example, we see that all municipal categories do require a level of subsidy from elsewhere, whether it's grants or whatever. Now, that cannot work. And I submit to you, it is an issue that we have to deal with. A fundamental point here is that the future will not be last year plus 5%. We very much come out of an era where it is easy to project the future because you just look at last year and you add 5%. Question then is, what will the future look like and what is required to have a future-proof strategy? Now, I on purpose made it vague because it is a vague situation. What really do you require? But you can look at many, many dynamics, and VALLY touched on some of them already that we have to address. I just look at what a future-proof municipality could look like. VALLY touched on this, and I'm not going to go in. But when I looked at the slide and developed it, it's very clear, as is not an option, and we will have to leverage the asset ownership. We cannot rely and lay behind a law or government or constitution that protects us. If the asset can't work and function, you are not going to play in a future dynamic. And therefore, we need to look at opportunity like energy wheeling. We need to make sure that our asset is significantly technology enabled so that, one, we can improve the visibility over this asset, but increase also the functionality and the use of it. And it speaks to the governance and the leadership. I found this statement quite interesting. We believe a preferred future can be created if we realistically envision and understand our strengths and the nature and obstacles to our success. Something, ladies and gentlemen, that I think we should keep in mind as we map out a future-proof industry. I think it also speaks to moving away from the linear to a non-linear business ecosystem, and therefore customer communities, business partnership, the marketplace, in whichever way it has been shaped, those are the things that we will have to get on top of. Network providers play a key role in where we're going, and whether we like private participation or not, I don't think that's a debate anymore. The debate now is how best do I leverage that? And if we can't do those type of things, the distribution industry is going to run into serious trouble. In 2007-8, we worked out a model. We thought we had it under control. Political will was not there. We shelved it. But today we sit with those problems worse than ever before. And on top of it, we've got weak balance sheets. And from there, we want to build a future. So let us look at some practical things that I believe will assist us to facilitate the future proving of the municipalities. The first one, we come very much, if we look at it from a governance point of view, from a command and control environment. The intelligent or the clever people suggest we are moving to a suggest and select for the future. But I think what we also hear people are saying that who understand the markets and the development is that technology is not going to be the long pole, but the long pole is going to be the regulatory capability. How do you effectively regulate such an industry? But there are a host of opportunities. And the point again, ladies and gentlemen, is how best are we going to leverage these opportunities? First and foremost, it starts with an entrepreneurial mindset. We cannot just look at it from our old reference of, I'm an employee here and I work for my salary. If that is the attitude, we're not going to make it. I think we need outside in thinking to make the difference. We have to unbundle our products and our services. This one size fits all, and I only have one product, I think it's gone. You cannot take the future on like that. And you have to design and implement future focus intelligence into your applications, and you have to leverage technology. If we're not going to leverage technology and getting our business more intelligence, the proverbial writing on the back of the cigarette box, I think is gone. I think the other point we've touched on already is leadership. First and foremost, if you have got a leader with his hand in the cookie jar, he or she is not fit to be a leader in this industry. And the sooner we come to that junction where we get ethical, competent people to lead and play a role in this industry, we are not going to make it. So we have to constantly think about what comes after next. If we don't do that, we can't be leaders. Looking at how the current is already irrelevant, we have to understand those type of things. We need to appoint competent and suitably qualified people. And then if we don't have performance-based contracts and accountability, we run into serious problems. These are some of the things that I think from a leadership and governance point have to be in place. The other one is around the law. And I found this quite interesting, a statement that was made about 50 years ago, how Texas Instruments introduced the pocket calculator, and where are we today? In the 60s, it was Chris Barnard who did the heart transplant, and where are we today? And all of them leverage technology to be where we are today. So the historic approach to governance, where we focus on compliance delivery, on the mandate, and then control on how do we avoid things that happened in the past, that is gone. We will have to be far more future focused in terms of managing going forward. So we have to look at promoting relevant audience acceptance. If we are not going to be visible, if we're not going to participate in there where we are looking at the reform of the legislation, in the South African Smart Grid initiatives, things like that, we are not going to make it. You cannot influence just from outside. You have to be into the process and really buying into it. So we have to work with the relevant authorities to craft the legislation and the regulatory enablers that we do require to make it into the future. And then ensure that future-proof initiatives fit in with the national objectives. We have for too long opposing many of the national objectives, and then we run into many difficulties. So I think these are some of the things that we have to do. However, ladies and gentlemen, without capacity, you're not going to make it. There is a popular belief, or there was one, that says South Africans are not matured enough to have a model where people can work from home. Well, COVID-19 taught us a different lesson. We now have many organizations adopting the work from home, and in this hybrid model being very successful. The question is rather who should be at work and who can work from home. Those are things that we have to work out. However, the pool of skills, and that's the first point under the opportunities, skills could be attracted that will best fit the specific business and the business that we design for the future. The hybrid model will also give you a far greater access because people are not geography bound now to come and work for you. So these are the things that we have to do. And obviously, you need technology to enable that. If you don't have that, you're going to have a challenge. So I believe flexibility is what we require going forward. A hybrid model is essential, and we need to design a future-proof solution with customer centricity as the objective. We are not going to make it into the future by hiding behind the law says, the constitution says, the rule says. That's not going to help you. If you don't have the balance sheet, you will not play. If you don't have the right capacity, you're going to be out of business. So these are the challenges going forward for us. So transparency and regular engagements will build confidence and yield the support that we will require in this country. And that takes me to the technology part of it. And I touched already on the COVID pandemic that saw rapid change in the private sector. The private sector really realigned their business overnight with great success. And what have they done? They looked at integrated replacement, improvement of legacy systems with investing in technology and digital transformation. So use this opportunity where many of us have outdated systems that require attention, but let us learn from one another in this process, but also identify processes and practices where synergies can be leveraged. That will help us to enhance the capabilities and integrate through technology deployment. So there are numerous opportunities that we can explore. We have to define and implement the enablers. We have to invest in digital technologies. We have to adopt these practices and capabilities, and we have to identify the time-consuming activities that keep us occupied and see how we can smart it. Ladies and gentlemen, I work in this industry for many years, as I've stated now. What I still can't understand is that it takes a leader or a person who sits at an executive director position 7 to 14 days before he has the results of the month that's gone. How do you operate by consistently have to work out of the rear view mirror? You cannot operate that. So we have to come to leveraging technology so that we can operate with real-time information and data. So it is important, engage the correct technology and the correct transformation partners if you want it. Otherwise, you'll be taken for a ride. You'll be in that space of you thought you bought smart meters, only to end up with fancy prepaid meters. This is just a very quick picture of a very recent survey that was done by McKinsey, indicating how many hours per day people envisage in future they will spend time, as I refer to as now the metaverse. Now, if 5 hours per day is where people will spend their time, then you better make sure that your industry can speak to this challenge and deal with it. So the best way to predict the future is to create it. And that was what Peter Drucker said. And I think we need to leverage from that. So I'm going to touch on a few case studies. I know we are going to talk about it later today. General Motors that got involved with the Ubers. Now, how do you think that would ever be possible? And yes, it's working and it makes sense. San Francisco-based consultant research, what are the factors which make innovative societies and answer constantly questioning society, always looking for a better and a different way of doing things. There's another example of Nike that have basically contract out everything that they're doing except for the managing the brand value and the customer interface. These are examples of people who did it well, but there are some secrets that you learn from people who did it well. Educate, develop, coach, mentor, equip, and train. Become a key message coming in. And then there are examples closer to our own industry where you have found people use distributed energy resources, very successful, and installed a comprehensive optimized solution. There's FinGrid that went to centralized asset management, highly successful in what they can do today. And one can go through all of these examples of people that have moved to customer centricity. And LO3 Energy is a great example with partnership of Siemens, where they've really rolled out a platform and using blockchain technology to enable the peer-to-peer energy sales, etc. We have to move from power sales to energy trading into the future. These are the things that you can do. Then you can have value-added services and you can enhance your engagement with your customers. So what are we saying? We cannot continue on the linear human growth path that we are comfortable with. The exponential technological growth that we do see force us out of the historic view on how to run, conduct, and do this business to this new future business. And if we want to be future-proof, we have to be smarter. We have to adopt and live with the technology. That brings me, ladies and gentlemen, to some concluding remarks, which I really believe is mission critical if we want to be successful where we want to go. The first one, stay as we are is not an option. If we reflect on the journey since 2000, we had many participants that agreed. We had in excess of 64 municipalities that signed the participation agreement and also Eskom. We ring-fenced Eskom into this base of the 6 future reds. However, we had many people in the journey who paid lip service to the journey. And at the right moment, they pulled the plug on the journey. None of the key issues were resolved. There was a plan to do it. And the closer that we got to it was with the city of Cape Town, where the Red 1 was implemented into a less of a scale than what was anticipated. I challenge you today, go and look at the successes they have on things that they have applied. So nobody can claim today that the previous exercise on reform was a failure because we never implemented. The only place where you can go and test to a certain degree is the success that the city of Cape Town do have with leveraging and working on what was they were inherited out of the EDI reform days. But the point is, as is not an option. And please, I'm not a prophet of saying, let us revive and go for 6 reds. That's not the answer. That environment have changed substantially. The next point is that the ability to perform will define the business boundaries in the future. If you do not have the financial capability, ladies and gentlemen, you will not be part of that future business model. Bankruptcy and collecting 10 bankrupt municipalities doesn't make them a viable business. So we better address some of the challenges that we have now. One, revenue management, collecting and get our tariffs cost reflective. And I hope that you've just read the recent documents that came out on the new thinking in Eskom of the future unbundled tariffs. You have to understand the unbundled tariffs and you have to work hard at that. I think the future-proof journey is about allocating resources towards the interventions that will create value for the municipality, but not only the municipality, also the future of the industry. You can, in isolation, think my municipality is okay and the rest I don't care about. If the rest fails, you will fail. So it's important that we have to deal with it. We will have to work hard at employing the best. We have to look after our employees. We have to make sure that we invest in their development, and we have to make sure that they collectively create that capability, capacity, and ability to deliver in line with the future requirements. That is where our emphasis will be. And I fully concur with what the President said in her opening remarks earlier this morning. While we as a collective try to work this out and work forward, it is up to individuals to really go and map out also their own destiny in the context of the broader and the bigger industry picture. We must get this right. We have to create physical and virtual environments that reflect the future workplace. I don't think we must try and hang on to everybody must come and report at the office. You can make a lot of money out if we can get hot seats and those type of things. We have to manage the connectivity and the sense of belonging. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I think is important. If the sense of belonging is not there, irrespective of where the employee is based, we will run into trouble. Part of our challenge today in the industry is many employees do not own the industry anymore. It is not a pleasure to come to work. I'm not proud of where I am. I'm concerned about all the negative things, and that sucks my energy and it sucks my time. I think this is the challenge that we have to. Most of us from the engineering background understand the nuts and bolts. Transformers don't back chat. They do blow up if you don't look after them, but they don't back chat you. But if you bought them, it's your property. You can do with them what you like. However, people are different, and we need to understand that. And I'm very sincere when I'm saying that we need to make sure that we speak to the hearts and minds of the people. That will assist you in getting into a future-proof journey, not other fancy footwork. I want to continue and wrap up on this slide. Define and establish the metrics for your future-proof intervention. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know where you are, how do you decide where you want to go? Establish your baseline, measure the baseline, work from the baseline, and that will take you where you want to be into the future. I think it is important that we establish a flexible but a robust project management approach and structures around all the key activities that we want to achieve over the next 10 years. If we are not going to have proper view over it and strong drive to get it, trouble comes your way. I think there's no one size fits all. You can learn from others. You can leverage knowledge. You can adapt them. But I don't think you're going to find on the shelf the absolute future-proof solution for your municipality or for Eskom for that matter. We have to research. We have to learn. We have to be present. We have to be active in the discussions. You cannot wait for other people to sort out the legislation on your behalf. You can't work for other people to sort out your finances. And talking to the finances, I'm convinced if we do not address the financial model behind municipalities as we have it today, we will continue to see the bankruptcy of municipalities because the financial model is outdated and it's unsustainable. We better understand those principles. So it is important that you know where you are, that you benchmark, and that you benchmark against real competition. It is no good benchmarking against people who are not as good as what you are already. It doesn't take you anywhere. From there, map out where you want to be. And without substantial investment in technology, you will not survive in the future. I don't know how many of you have read the Smart Grid Vision for South Africa, which was developed by SAIEE. I think there is a great document. It's currently under review that gives you a good insight.
Sorry, Dr. Willie, sorry to come in. You just have 4 minutes left.
I'll finish before that. So it is important that we deal with that. So the other important thing is that current disputes and differences within the industry is not assisting us. I'm going to be to the point. It is no good Eskom and SAIEE is in a fight about who's got the authority to distribute or not. I can tell you who's got the authority. There are many legal opinions on it. So that's not the debate. The debate is it takes away the energy and the focus of where we want to go into the future. So let us come together and work together. Future-proof will not happen by default. And that is where I would like to stop my presentation today. And thank you all for the opportunity to take you on this fast rally of how I see future-proofing and where we want to go. I wish you every success in your business and may the future be a great one. I thank you. Thank you very much.